I am here with Vaughn Gittin Jr., drift pilot of the RTR Mustang. You've heard about the project that I'm working on?
Yep.
The 1969 Pontiac Trans Am, kind of a pro touring car. So I'm in the fabrication stage, and I'm trying to turn this thing into more of a motorsports mutt. You know, I work with all forms of motorsports, and I really want to give this thing some technology or some features that might make it a little bit more versatile, because I'm running full-on road courses, some autocross events, maybe even some grudge match straight line drag racing.
Nice.
You know, and who doesn't get their jollies off on, you know, drifting up an empty parking lot, right?
For sure.
Which brings me to you, right? So, you know, you're the Mac Daddy drifter that I know, so I wanted to come to you and maybe get some input. Like, if you were building your own car, right, what would you put in it?
Well, you immediately make me go back to our 1969 Ford Mustang RTRX, which I'll take you across and show you in a little bit, which was a similar mindset. You know, we wanted something that we could drive on the street, but drift, road race, drag race, kind of a Swiss Army knife of machine.
That's an excellent
A Swiss Army knife of fun, right? So it sounds like you're doing something similar to that. So for me, I mean, the first thing, I think knowing you and what you do, it goes without saying you've already got the core of your performance figured out. You got motor figured out, I assume?
Yeah, well, so we talked to Pat Musey. If you know Pat, you know,
he's a horsepower machine.
Yeah, man, he's great. So we talked to Pat, and he's like, yeah, we'll give you 700 horse on pump gas, and then we'll get a hit of nitrous, and we'll get you up to 1,000 for the special moments. You know? Okay. So that's kind of what I'm working.
All right, so
probably less than what you're working with.
Well, we've got, this is you know, naturally aspirated 455 cubic inch race motor that Ford Performance and Roush Yates have developed for us. So it's 900 NA, and then we add about up to 300 with nitrous, depending upon what we're doing.
Okay.
So based on those learnings, you know, this is you know, runs VP 116, so it's full race fuel. For us, we obviously wouldn't be able to have that high compression. So I think the 700 NA is great for your driver, and then when you need more juice, you got it. That's awesome. So I think based on, you know, for drifting and probably for road racing and stuff, you'll want to rely on that 700. So I assume you're going to work with him to make sure it's very drivable, give you that nice torque band.
There'll be an LS platform. I know he's Mr. Big Block, right? He makes gobs of horsepower. He's a big block guy, but in this case, we're working an LS platform.
Okay.
You know, dual throttle bodies, big injectors. It'll be, I think it'll be sick.
Yeah, so I think, for me, I always want the power to be where I want it, what I'm using it for. There's nothing worse than getting a motor that makes max power and then you only can use it up there, you know? So I think for what you're talking about, obviously a nice broad torque band. And then the cool thing about nitrous is you can move the power wherever you wanted for the maximum, right? So if you, say you had a little cam where you had some good mid and you fell off on top, well, you can just use nitrous to help it up there, right?
Sure, yeah, that makes sense.
But so for me, you know, if you want to do some drifting, I think handbrake is very synonymous with drifting. You want a hydraulic handbrake. You could either do a pass-through, especially if like you're looking at weight savings and you don't want to add that other rear caliper. I would suggest dual calipers, especially for a street car. That way they're just two separate systems. So you have your foot brake controlling the front and rear all the time, especially for road racing. And then you don't have that pass-through. We've never had an issue with something failing with a pass-through, but it's just another thing to add to the system. So for me, with a car that's doing multi-purpose, I would want a separate rear caliper.
Okay.
There's no, you know, when you're pulling it, you want to lock the tires, and when you're off it, you want it to unlock. So it doesn't need to be a huge caliper by any means. Like cooling, a lot of people don't think about because you're always sideways. So you need to make sure you have some good fans and good ducting because you want all the air that you can get scavenged in through that. The other thing is if you're putting an oil cooler or a power steering pump, try not to put that on the front of the radiator. Maybe put it behind or take up as little radiator space as possible because that heat will just go to the radiator.
Sure, yeah.
And so in drifting,
didn't think of that.
You want it to be as cool as possible, which is why we get, not only for weight, but our real drift race cars, all of our radiators are in the back.
You know, a lot of people think, you know, drifting's all about sliding, but you know, in reality, it's way more about traction.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to have the control, right?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, like the tires you're using, they're not just hard tires. They're like pretty sticky tires.
And that's the thing. It's like anything else, right? Like it's like, at what level do you want to go to, right? So like this is a Formula Drift car. This car is purpose built for driving sideways at over 100 miles an hour. So everything from, you know, alignment all the way to light weighting to where the weight is put is all to achieve forward bite and side bite, which makes the car drive out of the corners and be very fast while spinning the tires. However, you know, at the amateur and fun level, there's a whole bunch of ways to achieve it. So when I'm asked questions at that level, my mindset goes to reliability and less maintenance and just having fun behind the wheel.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at in this discussion. So as far as tires, like we run Nitto NT555 G2s. They're super sticky, like insane sticky. I mean, the car pulls the front corners off the ground off a street tire.
Traction A, reliability Z. Huh?
Right. And so we have a compound. This is their drift spec, which is made in one size for you know, Formula D drivers and other drivers that want that next level of performance. But the tire that they use, the NT555 G2, is a summer tire. It's a 300 tread wear, and it lasts forever. It's like the perfect, I want to drive to the track, like all around type tire.
That's what you would put on your own.
That's what I would put on my personal street car. Yep,
okay.
All my street Mustangs have that tire.
No, okay.
So, you know, there's obviously other tires you can use. I just know that tire very well and the quality of that tire. You know, the other thing with drifting is that, you know, you will warm them up, but they're going to see temperatures of over 400 degrees. So you don't want a tire that's going to come apart. Yeah. So mindset would be like, well, I'm just going to get a harder tire because it's going to last longer. Yeah. But the problem with the harder tire is when they get to those heats, they usually come apart. Okay. So, you know, you just want to find a good tire that can handle, you know, 120 degrees after your first burnout, all the way up to 300-400. You're going to see because you're just having too much fun. You don't want to stop.
Right.
It's so cool having a car like that. I mean, my company is RTR, ready to rock. Like my mindset is always like, how much can I do with one vehicle? You know, rather than have so many different vehicles, like, can we just change the suspension and go do that? And you can. And you know, one thing we didn't talk about though is jumping. You gonna jump this car?
No, I'm gonna try and keep it on the ground.
Okay.
I don't think I'm gonna jump it. No.
Fair enough.
No, we'll keep. If I'm gonna jump, something's wrong.
I hear that.
But I grew up asphalt circle track racing, so this is a little bit out of my comfort zone. I've done some road course racing, but you know, this is a little bit out of my comfort zone, which is it's what attracted me to the project. You know, but I think it's gonna be cool. But thanks a lot for taking the time. I'd love to see your car that you drive on the street.
I'll take care of that.
All right, super.
So this is the RTRX. It's a 1969 Ford Mustang. We built this in 2011 and debuted it at SEMA. It was a project that we did with a video game company. It was built, put into a game, and immortalized. And yeah, we still have it. It's one of my favorite projects. In fact, a lot of people know and some people don't know, but we built Ken Block's Unicorn RTR here right across the street at the, you know, where you just saw my race car. And this was basically the older brother to the Unicorn. So following this build, it's roughly right around a couple years later is when Ken and I talked about the Unicorn. And so this was some inspiration for the Unicorn. Obviously we went a little bit more crazy with that vehicle, but the vision here was very similar to, you know, your vision, which is to build a Swiss Army knife of vehicles that can, you know, on the street, go drifting, do road racing, and you know, just overall be a really fun car.